And thanks for joining us. Today's topic is sous vide beef chuck flaps. And these are the Myers all natural chuck flaps I got from the butcher yesterday. And just take a look at these babies. Beautiful marbling. It's got plenty of fat. Perfect candidate for the sous vide. Because all that fat's going to melt down and just create a very, very great product. First step in the process is we want to cut and portion these chuck flaps to about 11 to 12 ounces. That's a perfect size for this cut. You are going to lose 4 to 5 ounces during the cooking process, so it's a good idea to cut them bigger. Like I said, 11 to 12 ounces. That way you end up with the right portion when you go ahead and try to plate it. So this one looks pretty good. What we're shooting for, between 11 and 12 ounces, and they look pretty good. So after you get them all portioned, we're just going to salt and pepper these, if you can, all 4 sides, and just use some kosher salt, some cracked pepper. If you can crack the pepper yourself, it's a little fresher. And if you're just using what you have in the pantry, that's fine too. So like I said, we're just going to salt and pepper each side and get these ready to sear. We're going to sear them in a hot saute pan, but I suggest medium-high heat. You want to get it hot to make sure you have nice browning all the way around those chuck flaps, but also you do not want to get the pan so hot that you're going to burn your oil. The burnt oil is going to leave a very bitter, nasty taste on those chuck flaps, and that's something you definitely want to avoid. You do not want to burn the oil because that's going to just give it a terrible flavor. To get a nice browning all the way around each one of these chuck flaps and get them ready for the sous vide bag. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that's nice. Just gonna flip it on its side, and the reason we're gonna sear it on all 4 sides is we're just gonna lock in all those juices and just create a ton of flavor with that crust. As you can see, I've been searing these for a few minutes, and I got a nice 360-degree sear all the way around these chuck flaps, and it's just beautiful, glistening. Next step in the process, we're going to prepare our circulator water bath. And what I like to do is just get the water as hot as I can from the tap, just to make sure that the circulator doesn't have to work as hard when we're trying to get that water up to 177.5 degrees for these chuck flaps. After they're seared, we just want to let them cool. And what I like to do is just take a towel and pat them dry, just like that. Give them a nice little squeeze, and that's going to help out when we go ahead and bag them for the sous vide. And in the bags, we're going to have fresh garlic, shallots, and rosemary. It's going to give it a nice aromatic. Prepare your bags. It's helpful if you fold the top of the bag over so you don't make a mess. And we're going to get everything in the bag. We're going to prepare it to vacuum seal. There we go. We're just going to get that going. One major thing is just want to get as much air out of the bags as possible. For the sous vide. It's going to pull the aromatics, salt, and pepper right into that beef chuck flap. So as you can see, I've got all of them prepared for the sous vide circulator. And I'm just going to check it out. Just make sure the circulator is up to temperature before we load it. And one helpful tip is just to cover the top with a perforated pan. And it's going to lock in some of the heat, and it seems to get the circulator a lot hotter, a lot faster. Now once it's up to temp, we're just going to go ahead and load it with those chuck flaps. And what I like to do is just make sure that Obviously, the circulator is full, but you also want to have enough room in the circulator so the water can move around those chuck flaps very easily. Also, we want to put a perforated pan back on top just to weight those down and also lock in that temperature easier for a longer period of time. And we're going to check back every 3 to 4 hours just to make sure that water level hasn't steamed away. You're going to lose some water due to evaporation, especially when you're sous videing these chuck flaps for 12 hours. So here we are, we're 12 hours in, and we're just going to take a look at those. I'll take one out of the water here. But just go ahead, it's pretty hot, so be careful. But we're just going to give it the squeeze test, and give it a squeeze. What you want is you want it to squeeze firmly, yet softly, but also not break apart. If it's going to fall apart, you probably lost too much of the natural fat and juice, and it's going to start to dry out. So here we are. Here at the restaurant, we do a fairly rustic plate up. We got the garlic mashed potatoes, asparagus, baby carrots, and a caramelized shallot and mushroom demi-glaze. I like to keep with the rustic aesthetic just because, you know, in general, it's a rustic cut to begin with. And I just like to hold true to what it actually is. You know, an elegant, modern cooking technique for a rustic cut. So that's pretty much the major tips in the sous vide chuck flap. Thanks for watching, and feel free to click or like, subscribe to my videos. Food Fox, Chef John Tapper II, and I'm going to be posting many more videos in the next weeks and months with a lot of cool topics, a lot of sous vide items, and some very advanced techniques. So thanks for watching.